Government spending is like bankrupting the country. Interest payments on the national debt now exceed the Defense Department budget, which is the Defense Department budget is like $1 trillion a year. Interest payments on the national debt are now higher than the Defense Department budget, and growing like every month. So it's not like basically we're on a path to bankruptcy.
From electric cars and outer space projects to the U.S. government, Elon Musk has become an integral part of Donald Trump's upcoming regime in 2025. His endorsement of Donald Trump, although very controversial, was a massive indicator of how he plans to make his mark in the upcoming government. And as we all know, he has very well made his mark. Today, America is on the verge of bankruptcy. With over $36 trillion in debt, the country's economy is quite literally in shambles. Inflation is at an all-time high, and the government is trying hard to find a way out of it. According to a December 2024 report, the US government will have to pay nearly $1.4 trillion just in interest over their debt. That means that every US citizen is $106,000 in debt. And looking at this, Elon stated on 3rd of December 2024 that America is headed for de facto bankruptcy very fast. And unfortunately, it's true. But the real question is, where did all of this debt come from? So America's debt has been accumulating since the 1930s, and that makes the answer to our question quite lengthy and, frankly, kind of boring. But the biggest issue that adds to this ever-increasing debt is excessive national spending. For example, in 2023, the US government's income was $4.4 trillion, and they spent $6.2 trillion. This includes Social Security, national defense budgets, Medicare, accumulating interest and debts, and other spending. Looking at these numbers, it's evident that the US needs to either increase its revenue or reduce its spending. However, it's not that easy. You see, increasing the revenue would mean increasing taxes on literally everything. And I think everyone in the US can agree they're already paying enough taxes. That leaves us with one only option: cutting down expenses. During this year's election run, Elon Musk endorsed Donald Trump, and that brought him directly into the government, although not officially. On November 12, 2024, just a week after winning the presidential election, Donald Trump announced that Elon Musk, along with the Indian-American politician Vivek Ramaswamy, will be addressing this terrifying surge in debts and interest amounts. Just a few weeks before being elected, Trump also announced the formation of a brand new department, the Department of Government Efficiency. Musk and Ramaswamy are spearheading this department, and while it's not a government entity, it is aimed at making some massive changes in the government overall. According to the Trump administration, DOGE is a non-government entity focused on reducing government expenditures, slashing regulations, and enacting cost-cutting initiatives throughout the whole federal government. And at the face of it, this sounds like a good plan. If the government is spending far more money than it actually needs, it only makes sense to cut down the costs and make some changes. But can Donald Trump do this? Can DOGE really be created? You see, DOGE is not directly related to the government. It's basically an idea that works on the principles of an NGO, and therefore it doesn't require any Senate confirmation. This also means that it doesn't have any real power actually to implement any changes. It's kind of like international law. The countries have the power to be signatories to treaties or just outrightly reject them. The same is the case with DOGE. While they can make recommendations, the ultimate powers lies with Congress. They can vote on the recommendations, such as budget cuts or slashing regulations, and make the final decision. And now you might be asking, what's the point of this department then? Well, according to Elon, their mission is to use DOGE to pursue the reforms they deem necessary. Precisions in regulations, reductions in administrations, and cost savings are the top priority, because those are the real culprits behind America's crippling debt. And yeah, crippling might be a strong word to use here, but considering that 28% of all government revenue goes towards debt payments, it kind of seems fitting. The leaders of DOGE also wrote in the Wall Street Journal a while ago that they are assisting the Trump transition team to identify and hire a lean team of small government crusaders. including some of the sharpest technical and legal minds in America. But the issue is that DOGE has no real authority. It cannot implement any changes no matter how hard they try. At the end of the day, it's just another non-governmental entity that is making recommendations. And according to David Lewis, a political science professor at Vanderbilt University, the recommendations are great. However, there's still a massive issue with DOGE. Elon and Ramaswamy are billionaires who own companies regulated by a wide spectrum of governmental agencies. And this can lead to a conflict of interest very easily. But all of that is beside the point. After all, this danger would only come if any of DOGE recommendations are actually accepted. The more pressing issue is that while all of this is going on, America's debt keeps rising. Elon has made some bold claims on how to handle this increase. Back in 2020, the US debt went from $5.7 trillion to $23.2 trillion. This $16 trillion increase was because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it marked an unprecedented rise. During Trump's rally in New York, prior to the election, Elon said that he can easily decrease $2 trillion of government spending. He said that all of the government spending is taxation, be it direct taxation or inflation. Therefore, the taxpayers' money is being wasted. And that is exactly what his DOGE recommendations aims to fix. But this recommendation or claim is a crazy nuts proposal, at least according to Paul Mortimer Lee, an independent economist at NICER. According to Mortimer Lee, cutting out $2 trillion doesn't mean that the government would just start running itself on a budget. No, it would mean completely wiping out the budget for transport, education, housing, social services, and much more. Even benefits like Medicare would have to be thrown out the window if this budget cut is made. At this point, the US has two options. Either keep getting buried under the massively increasing debt or give up essential public services. In simple words, the US citizens are stuck between a rock and a hard place. And what's the right choice is a question that has millions of different answers. And it's because of one simple fact: varying political support. A handsome chunk of American citizens are against Donald Trump and therefore against Elon Musk. They believe that Trump's selection of Elon and Musk's suggestions for economic reforms are not for the betterment of the country but for personal gain. And this is backed by the fact that for years Donald Trump voiced his disapproval of electric cars. However, when his $130 million funding and endorsement came, Trump's stance changed overnight. In August 2024, Donald Trump said,
"And I'm for electric cars. I have to be, because Elon endorsed me very strongly, Elon. So I have no choice."
Many interpret this with a literal approach, saying that Donald Trump only cares about money and that as long as Elon keeps the dollars pumping, he's got all the support he needs from the man in the White House. Some Democrats have even labeled Elon Musk as a shadow president, saying that since he can't run for office because of his South African ancestry, he has made his way into the White House without ever becoming a presidential candidate. Along with that, Democratic supporters claim that Elon Musk is looking to gut any and all US government agencies that he has accused of holding back his SpaceX and Tesla operations. His plans of going to Mars and deploying Tesla robot taxis and AI-powered robots all over the US were allegedly delayed by these government agencies. However, now that he is apparently best friends with the President of the United States and has been given an indirect position of power closely related to the government, he is going to milk this opportunity greatly for his business empire. Bear in mind that these are entirely the opinions and arguments of the US citizens and other critics. None of this is backed by any facts, and I have nothing against Donald Trump or Elon Musk. It's just that looking at how Elon used cost-cutting measures by firing more than 80% of Twitter's employees when he acquired the platform, it seems rather likely that he will suggest equally harsh measures to be implemented in the US government. He also intends to dismantle the countless government agencies that are using a huge chunk of the income and not providing any real return. And according to some, there are around 450 agencies in the US at a federal level. And the Trump-Musk team believes that this vast bureaucracy net is just completely useless. But this is where things get entirely political. And since Elon is not officially a part of the government, people do not take his opinions on such matters lightly. They say that deregulation of agencies and cutting budgets is not as easy as it seems. The US has a massive system, and while there may be some excessive spending, deregulating authorities and cutting out fundings from essential public services, such as public transport and Medicare, isn't the way to go. Some people say that the best way to increase the tax brackets on the wealthy people. This means that the super rich individuals like Donald Trump and Elon Musk should pay more taxes while the citizens who aren't flush with cash pay lesser taxes. But is this a long-term solution? Please let me know what you guys think in the comment below. In mid-2024, Donald Trump also floated an idea that he could use Bitcoin to pay off the debt. He also promised to create a strategic national Bitcoin reserve, predicting that the crypto coin could eclipse gold's $16 trillion market capitalization. But despite the ideas, there hasn't been any solid solution presented that shows any potential of actually ending America's insane debt. Let's see how Elon Musk's suggestions through DOGE are taken by the Congress and the lawmakers of the country. Do share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more updates on this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.